2 centuries of silence have come to an end. Sweden is now steering the Russia-Ukraine war.
We're helping because we want to, because it's the right thing to do.
Stockholm has become one of the countries providing the most support to Kiev, with 6.5 billion euros in military aid. And this aid is rapidly changing the balance on the front lines. On the Donetsk, Kharkiv and Svatove axes, Russia's 20th and 41st Armies are feeling the full impact of Swedish weapons. With platforms such as the Strv-122 and CV90, first-line solutions are succeeding more frequently. Archer's counter-battery strikes are disrupting the artillery balance. The air picture fed by AEW is making low-altitude UAV defense more efficient. This scenario is increasing the sense of permanent attrition for the 2 armies in question. The 2025 summer offensive in particular became a turning point where the Russian army collided with and was dispersed by Western-backed defense lines. After 3 months of fighting, Russia managed to capture only 0.3% of Ukrainian territory. This is less than the size of a medium-sized European city. The much-heralded offensive failed to capture even a single major Ukrainian city. Instead, Russia's advance stalled, and its troops now find themselves trapped in a handful of border villages. This was not just a missed opportunity, but a disaster. Estimates suggest Russia may have suffered tens of thousands of casualties, with some reports putting the total number of dead and wounded at over 210,000, and thousands of tanks, armored vehicles, and artillery systems destroyed. Of course, Sweden's support behind this success cannot be denied. One of the most critical elements of this support was the piles of Swedish steel that shattered Russia's 20th and 41st Armies. The Stridsvagn 122 sent by Sweden to Ukraine is not just a Leopard 2A5 derivative. It is also a heavy armored solution reshaped by the North's combat experience. Built on the German Leopard platform, this version is optimized for survivability, particularly thanks to its high protection layers and advanced sensor integration. The most striking difference of the Strv-122 is the thickness of its turret armor and the night-and-day situational awareness provided by locally produced thermal imaging systems. Adapted to Sweden's harsh winter terrain, this tank has been reconfigured to operate in challenging conditions and complex battlefields. However, this tank does not go into the field alone. In Ukraine, the significance of the Strv-122 lies in a 3-way coordination system established with CV90 infantry fighting vehicles and artillery units equipped with M109 or Archer systems. This tripartite structure transforms the classic armored assault concept into system discipline. The tank's camera focuses on the infantry's movements. Ammunition loading progresses simultaneously with artillery suppression. The Strv-122 is the leading link in this chain, but its main function is to carry the synchronization of this whole. The CV90 is the backbone of this story. This armored infantry platform is defined by its 40mm Bofors automatic cannon, high-precision sighting system, and layered armor protection. It is neither merely a carrier nor a light support element. The CV90 is the infantry's eyes, reflexes, and maneuverability on the ground. Therefore, its role on the battlefield is not behind tanks but alongside them, and sometimes in front of them. The Ukrainian army was quick to understand this structure. The 21st Mechanized Brigade deployed the CV90s within an organized system. The difference these vehicles made in populated areas and mixed transition zones was evident not only in their armor thickness, but also in the clarity of their thermal imaging systems and the flexibility of their artillery coordination. During the 93rd Brigade's activities around Vovchansk, tank and infantry units advancing in coordination with CV90s were observed. This integration provided the capacity to scan the area before the attack, determine positions, and manage the initial contact with superiority. In numerous operations, the CV90s determined the exit lines. The tanks then moved from these openings into the interior. At this time, the initial response of the Russian defense lines was either delayed or locked onto the wrong position. This is because the CV90's high maneuverability created a threat that was not static on the field, but constantly moving. In warfare, artillery is not just about firepower, it's about timing and accuracy. Archer combines these two elements in practice. It deploys 155mm firepower on a truck chassis in seconds, not minutes. Deployment, salvo, and position abandonment times are kept short, It is one of the safest recipes against counter-battery threats. On the Ukrainian side, the unit infrastructure linking Archer's fire to the field was established. Part of the training and setup was completed directly at points close to the front line. 2 of the units are operating Archer crews as planned. Camouflaged firing points thus become more durable. The Russian artillery's response time often falls into a void. You cannot complete the ground picture without clearing the air picture. Sweden has also made its mark in the air early warning sector. The AEW platform, ASC890, displays the air and missile picture on a single screen. It carries the Erieye PS890 radar mounted on top of the fuselage and offers a 120-degree scanning arc on both sides. Flying at an altitude of 20,000 feet, Saab's radar can track aircraft, missiles, and even surface ships from a distance of approximately 300 to 400 kilometers. It illuminates the battlefield in a way that Ukraine's old MiG-29 and Su-27 fleet, or its newer F-16 and Mirage 2000 aircraft, equipped with relatively small, outdated radars, could not previously achieve. The integration of the Saab 340 AEW and C platform into Ukraine's airspace is not just a technical gain, but a strategic paradigm shift. This aircraft will serve as a radar wing that significantly reduces Ukraine's long-standing air defense blind spots, particularly against Russia's high-speed cruise missiles, though not hypersonic, ballistic threats, and long-range bomber platforms like the Tu-95 and Tu-22M. The Saab 340 creates a critical difference in a race against time: immediate warning and internal control. Since the beginning of the war, Ukraine's early warning systems have largely been built on data collected by Western, particularly NATO, AWACS aircraft over Romania, Poland, and the Black Sea. However, the transmission of this data occurs indirectly via satellite links and command chains. During this process, target information arrived with a delay of several minutes. The direct deployment of the Saab 340 on Ukrainian territory eliminates this critical time difference. Early warning data will now be transmitted directly to the batteries in real time, rather than with a delay of several minutes. The Saab 340 is a platform capable of providing 360-degree coverage and scanning air targets at a range exceeding 450 kilometers, thanks to its Erieye radar system. This capability enables the early detection of Russian bomber aircraft taking off from air bases in Belarus, such as Baranovichi and Ziabrovka, as well as missile waves launched from air bases in Crimea, such as Belbek or Saki. Saab's early warning capabilities, particularly against weapon systems such as Caliber, KH-101, KH-555, and even Kinjal, will increase the reaction time of systems such as Iris-T, NASAMS, and Patriot. Ukraine will use this platform deep within its airspace. The Saab 340 itself is not a defense system, but an air defense command and control center. It requires multi-layered protection to survive. Therefore, it will be surrounded by short and medium-range systems such as Iris-T and NASAMS, while Patriot systems will provide coverage in the background. The Saab 340 will not operate on the front lines of the conflict. Rather, it will function as the command desk for the radar battlefield. It will mark targets, direct fire, and optimize batteries. Moreover, this is not only a military move but also a significant step in protecting critical national infrastructure. For energy grids, transformer stations, natural gas pipelines, railway junctions, air bases, and areas with dense civilian populations, warnings will now provide time for prevention rather than just last-minute alerts. In this regard, the Saab 340 is expected to create a common operational picture based on radar information and distribute it to both command centers and local defense nodes. This enables not only the detection of enemy missile launches, but also the analysis of predicted flight paths. The Saab 340 is also not passive in terms of electronic warfare. The platform can detect enemy radar signals, create enemy here maps with signal analysis, and provide decision support to the command level regarding threat clusters. Furthermore, such platforms can deceive enemy air attacks by producing decoy or false signals, even forcing them to waste valuable ammunition unnecessarily. War is not only fought on land and in the air. Rivers, deltas, and coastal strips are opportunities for logistics and raids. Combat boats derived from Sweden's Strv90 family are playing a silent role in Ukrainian waters. These platforms provide freedom of movement for special forces and Marines. Rapid deployment, short-term raids, and withdrawal cycles become secure with these vehicles. The Dnipro estuary, inlets, and coastal lines are therefore more active. Coastal batteries and radar points have become more vulnerable to surprise tactics. Swedish boats, equipped with light weapons and sensors, offer day and night operational capability. Their small visibility narrows the detection window. This mobility, which has a microwave effect on logistics lines, produces significant results on the larger map. Another axis has opened up for coastal defense. Robot 17 is an adapted version of helicopter-based munitions used for anti-ship missions from the coast. It is light, flexible, and prone to creating surprises. It produces deterrence against enemy boats on rivers and coastal areas. It sends the message that coastal targets are not safe. These systems also enable a rapid response to threats such as Iran's kamikaze boat architecture. Sweden is complementing Ukraine's coastal front management not only with boats, but also with such systems. The courage of logistics convoys to approach the coast is diminishing. A framework is emerging that makes the risk of sea and river transport more costly. This scenario produces psychological and operational consequences on the Black Sea coast. Sweden's support for Ukraine is not limited to sending armored vehicles, howitzers, and missiles. This aid is a transfer of a culture of warfare. Stockholm brought to the battlefield not only equipment, but also a system discipline that ensures the equipment is used, protected, and maintained correctly. This process was carried out with great care, especially for the CV90 armored infantry vehicles and Archer howitzer systems. With the very first deliveries, the workshop field line was quickly put into operation thanks to the advanced maintenance and training infrastructure established by Swedish experts. Ukrainian technical personnel underwent specialized training in fault detection, planned maintenance cycles, and emergency response protocols. This was not just a repair process, but a field discipline aimed at increasing the long-term availability rate. Kilometer and mission duration-based tracking systems were established for each vehicle. This enabled the early detection of fatigue symptoms and allowed critical part replacements to be carried out in a timely manner. As a result, the number of vehicles left idle, taken out of service, or rendered unusable due to malfunctions decreased significantly. At the same time, this system made ammunition consumption more predictable and elevated logistics planning to a more refined level. Sweden also introduced the concept of a self-sustaining crew to the Ukrainian theater. Crew members are no longer just soldiers who fight and operate vehicles. They have also become operators who understand maintenance cycles, perform daily checks, and observe and report on the behavior of critical components. This has both extended the technical lifespan and reduced sudden losses on the battlefield. On the other hand, Sweden's support for Ukraine has never been limited to just arms shipments. For Stockholm, this war is not just a matter of a front line. It is also about the integrity of a society, the existence of a country, and the sustainability of human dignity. This understanding has deepened the scope of Sweden's civilian and humanitarian aid to Ukraine throughout 2025. And these support packages have become a strategic stance in their own right, independent of military contributions. The approximately $1.2 billion non-military aid package announced at the beginning of the year highlights the multi-layered nature of Sweden's approach to Ukraine. This funding focuses on three main areas: humanitarian intervention, reconstruction, and energy security. Each area is structured around the belief that the war must be won not only militarily, but also on the social, economic, and psychological levels. Approximately $300 million has been allocated for rebuilding war-ravaged infrastructure and helping displaced families rebuild their lives. These funds do not only mean buildings constructed with bricks and mortar. Each one is approached as a foundation for repairing social memory, re-establishing a sense of belonging, and coping with psychological trauma. With Sweden's support, Ukraine's destroyed neighborhoods, streets, and homes are being rebuilt not only physically, but also symbolically. Another important part of Sweden's carefully structured aid package is the Emergency Response and Crisis Management Fund, supported by over $220 million. Humanitarian aid organizations working directly in the heart of the war, local health services, and municipalities are supported in this area. With this investment, Sweden is contributing to the construction of a structure that prioritizes not only the sustainability of public services in Ukraine, but also the protection of human dignity, even in war conditions. Ukraine's energy infrastructure is one of the most vulnerable areas directly targeted by Russia. Sweden has taken action to keep this sector afloat by contributing over $140 million to the Ukraine Energy Support Fund. Electricity grids, heating systems, and critical energy facilities are vital not only for the sustainability of daily life, but also for the morale of the people. Sweden's intervention carries a powerful symbolism that can be described as the struggle of light against darkness. In addition to these macro support lines, mine clearance, medical personnel training, and food security initiatives are also on Stockholm's radar. In particular, the $9.5 million in special support for the Grain from Ukraine initiative is a vital contribution not only for the Ukrainian people, but also for fragile countries in Africa and Asia that depend on these grains. Sweden is thus playing a strategic role in humanitarian diplomacy by contributing to the global food security chain through Ukraine. The additional $138 million civil aid package announced in March 2025 once again demonstrated that Sweden's aid policy is not a one-off step, but a continuously updated system that evolves according to needs. This package focuses particularly on reconstruction, the sustainability of health services, and mine clearance activities. These moves, which will accelerate the return of civilians in particular, represent important milestones in the post-war reconstruction of Ukraine. Sweden's support for Ukraine is not limited to money and projects. The Stockholm administration continues to be the strongest supporter of sanctions against Russia within the EU. Measures such as blocking critical technology transfers and restricting energy revenues show that Sweden sees economic pressure not as a tool, but as a necessity. This stance is an expression of commitment not only to Ukraine, but also to the international legal order and the rules-based world system. As time passes, the side that loses its rhythm falls behind. Recovering the rhythm requires not just resources, but decisions. The longer these decisions are delayed, the more effective the Swedish ecosystem becomes. And that's how the cold calculation of war is written. If you found the analysis in this video informative, please like it and subscribe to our channel. Your support plays a big role in bringing these contents to you. We also look forward to your comments. See you in new content. Take care. Thank you for watching.